Good evening, YouTube viewers. Sleepless Dog here after a long hiatus. Those of you who are still with me, thank you. Those of you who are new to my channel, now that I'm putting out reviews again, welcome. And thank you all for watching. Tonight, Zero Tolerance 0801, Todd Rexford Design. This is a 1-year review. I bought this guy right at 1 year ago at Blade. You will notice the hardware is a little different. That is just standard 801 hardware that I've just polished most of the black off. That's actually the first positive on this. Contacted ZT through their website, through the little, feedback parts request form. I said, hey, I really think this knife would look better with, some polished stainless or some matte stainless hardware to match the titanium handles rather than the all black hardware, which you can still see on the steel lock bar face screw. They did not send me that piece, and I really don't want to mess with trying to reseat a lock bar face. So anyway, the clip as well, part of that hardware. So contacted him, said I think it would look better. Will you send me a set of spare hardware for the knife? I would like to buy spare hardware for the knife, so I can polish it up myself, play with it. They just sent me hardware, no charge. So that's awesome. So after a year of carrying this knife, what do I think? Good, the bad, the ugly. Nothing ugly at all about it. The first bad, and it's not a huge deal to me, to some people it is for some reason ZT Kai USA likes this decorative pivot, and a lot of other reviewers have pointed this out. I didn't have any problems with it initially, so I was fortunately less than friendly to one reviewer about his criticisms of it, but now I agree with him. Written to him, asked him for forgiveness as a brother in Christ, which we should do. And hopefully when life is not so busy, he'll respond to me. But anyway, that's that. So it's not the front side of this pivot that's the problem, it's the back side. Huh. Look at that. There's nothing stopping the back side, the female side of this pivot, from moving. So what that means is you've got to Loctite it together. So if you take the knife apart to clean it, to maybe put some lube on those ball bearings inside the pivot, you're gonna have to leave it alone for anywhere from half an hour to 24 hours, depending on what your luck or experience is with Loctite. Blue Loctite, they say it'll, they say it sets in 20 and it fully cures in 24. I just leave them alone. I didn't have a problem with the factory pivot, but after I polished up the spare hardware they sent me and went to reassemble the knife, I did have to Loctite it. The good thing to me about a ball bearing pivot knife is you really don't need to adjust them. You just want to tighten the pivot down, because it's still going to open smoothly, even fully tightened down, as long as you're not over torquing it. So just tighten it down until the blade's centered. Let the ball bearings do their job. So that's the first kind of semi-negative on it. The only other negatives, and these are not huge, these are very much, that is the only objective negative, is that pivot is not restrained, so you have to Loctite it. Subjectively, this knife is just a little bit thicker than what I want to carry every day. It didn't stop me from carrying it nearly every day for a year. It's just a tiny bit thicker, and maybe radiusing instead of beveling the corners of the blade of the handle would help in that regard. So there's that. The other thing is, like just about all ZTs, it's really thick blade stock. Again, that's not necessarily bad. If you want a really tough, durable knife, thick blade stock L-Max is your friend. So let me zero out the calipers here. Let's measure this blade stock here. That is 0.158 inches. So 158 thousandths. 159 thousandths. It's thick. Again, in and of itself, not a bad thing. Just, it's a pretty thick grind. So it is, again, let's pop open the calipers. Let's get a measurement right behind the edge. So right behind the edge, it's 40 thousandths? Maybe let's get a little closer right behind the edge. No, it's not 40 thousandths right behind the edge. It's 30 thousandths behind the edge. Not bad. But it quickly, very quickly, goes to 40 thousandths, as you can see. It doesn't take much. It's a thick grind. So nice, really tough with an Elmax steel blade. So that's, subjective criticism. The other subjective criticism, and it's kind of a positive and a negative, is the Elmax blade. Holds an edge for forever. I've had to sharpen it twice now. Just sharpened it the other day. It takes a little while to sharpen. It's very abrasion resistant. It's not the easiest steel in the world to sharpen. I'm not bad with sharpening. I've sharpened chef knives for friends. Laminated VG10 shuns freehand to where we were dropping cherry tomatoes at a restaurant from maybe 12, 16 inches up, dropping them onto the blade of a 10-inch chef's knife, and they were just falling apart. So I'm by no means the best freehand sharpener in the world, but I'm not bad. This just, Elmax, and maybe it's the combination of Elmax and the thick grind, does not respond well, at least for me, to freehand touch-ups. I mean, yeah, I could freehand touch up with the DMT diafold and get a decent working edge back on it, but when I then compare that to stopping at the same 600 grit on a wicked edge, having a consistent angle, it's just a much better edge. When I did finally put it on the wicked edge, which again was only the second time in a year that I've sharpened it, and this thing has opened just about all of my mail, just about all of my packages. Like I said, other than a few times, has done a ton of EDC, so the edge holding is tremendous. And the only reason I touched it up the first time was when I got it, I cut a bunch of 3/8 inch manila rope with it just to play with it and see what I felt. And despite being that thick, it slices really, really well. Cut manila rope with no problem, sliced paper. It was still shaving sharp when I finally sharpened it again 2 days ago. So, positive and a negative. Super rugged. So, anyway, the other things I love about it, I like that there's no jimping. So, it doesn't need it between the flipper and the little kind of swell back here that's almost palm swell. The little arch there, it sits in the hand really nicely. So, it's been a spectacular knife. I just wanted something with a little thinner, more slicey blade grind. So, I have moved on to a ZT0562CF. Yeah, that second run that just came out with CTS 204P blade steel teaser. That'll be coming up in a review soon. But yeah, so the other things I like about it, like I said, there's no jimping, but it doesn't need it. The grip is really nice because of the way it has this kind of depression that kind of swells back up and the nice palm swell back here. So For an example, I do wear size extra large gloves, so I can get my hand fully around it with no problem. Sorry about the autofocus. I'm running the camera I can afford right now, guys. So anyway, feels great in the hand. The grooving provides good grip texture without being so aggressive that it tears up dress pants. All around a great knife that just wasn't exactly what I wanted. Another thing I really like, the way that they did the flipper on here. It's got just enough texturing to give you a grip, but it doesn't dig into your finger because it's radiused the whole way. So it flips really well with minimal effort, again, as you would expect. And it's not overly detinted. Some flippers are really heavily detinted, and it's not. I also like, you've probably seen in other reviews, or maybe this is the first review of this knife that you've seen, ZT put, if I can get it to show in here, they put an over travel stop as part of the steel, the hardened steel lock bar interface on the lock bar. So the hardened steel face that's screwed into this little recess back here, you can also maybe see this tiny little recess here in the handle. So I can't physically push that lock bar any further over than that. So it's a nice hidden lock bar over travel stop. The pocket clip's great. It's the standard ZT fold over deep carry pocket clip. Lanyard holes right out on the end of the knife if you use a lanyard. I don't, obviously. But so overall, for MAP is $190 on these. For the price, for an all titanium knife with a LMAX blade, ball bearing pivot, 3.5-inch LMAX blade, it's slick, doesn't scream weapon tactical knife other than being kind of on the big side. But just to address that thickness issue where I find it just to be a hair too thick, it is, not counting the pivot, just going for the thickest part of the handles, 5075, so 507.5 thousandths. That in comparison, very quickly, to the teaser of the 562 CF, which is 490.5. So 490.5 versus 507. 507. 490 versus 507, so we're only talking about 17 thousandths. I think the combination of that 17 thousandths and the little more radius carbon fiber side of this handle, this is not radius, this is just beveled like this guy. So yeah, 17 thousandths. Made a difference for me. 2/100ths of an inch. But anyway, we'll get to the other guy later. This is the 1-year review on the 801 Rexford. I really like it. Like I said, I carried it basically every day other than testing a couple of other knives and maybe a couple of times where I might be stabbing into garden soil with a pocket knife. It happens with clay soil. I just didn't want to do to this, even though it would hold up with an LMAX blade, I have no doubt. Anyway, it's a great knife. I really like it. I just like the 562 CF a little bit more. But yeah, again, like I said, if you're looking for a beefy, rugged folder for EDC that's not terribly large and doesn't scream weapon, take a look at one. It's great. Please like, subscribe, leave your comments. If you do leave your comments, because Google has got this whole one account for all of Google now, this includes YouTube, So particularly if you're doing this link from Google+, if your privacy settings are locked down, I cannot reply to you directly. I just have to make a general reply in the comments section. So if you do comment and you'd like a reply, please check your privacy settings, take a look. There's some good videos on otherwhere on YouTube by more tech-savvy folks than I, and I will try to put a link in the description for y'all. Anyway, hope you've had a wonderful night. Hope the review has been helpful, and have a blessed and wonderful evening.